The Cincinnati Reds have a chance to bring Eugenio Suarez back as long as they get creative enough with the money.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and now the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. Thanks for helping make that happen. And as always, we are your team every day. My name's Stephen Offenbaker. His name's Jeff Carr. We got it right, and we are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. We love baseball. We love the Reds. We love talking about the Cincinnati Reds, so much, in fact, that we've been doing it in podcast form for a combined 14 seasons. On today's show, we are going to, a little bit later, dig into our most outlandish takes for 2026 that we know are crazy, but that we hope are right. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. We're also going to revisit the hate that Jeff Carr brought down upon Matt McLain during the 2025 baseball season. We're going to take a look at Matt, what's realistic to expect from him, what his problems were in 2025, and what 2026 could and should look like for Matt McLain. We've got that for you in just a few minutes. But where we are going to start is taking another look at a reunion with the good vibes with Eugenio Suarez, because what we learned that there is a big pile of 25 million $1 bills in a drawer over at Great American Ballpark that just has a sticky tape on the front of it that says Kyle Schwarber. We want the Reds to peel that right off and replace it with Eugenio Suarez. They got to get creative. We'll tell you how that can happen on today's show that's brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Now, this is going to be a good, fun, lengthy discussion today. This is the last show of 2025. So we thought, why not have the whole team here? So joining us from the Reds postcast, the one and only Tim Daniel joins the show. Not Walmart Jeff Carr, as some people like to call him. It's Tim Daniel. Tim, what do you have for us today?
So you mentioned the 25 million $1 bills. I assume, I can't remember who the player was, but have you ever heard the story about when Ken Griffey Jr. lost a bet to another Reds player, and the way he paid him back was in all pennies that he stored in his locker in the clubhouse?
I love that. And that would be some stuff.
Can't do that now.
That's
pennies
great.
don't exist.
You can't do that. That's why there's a shortage. Someone's got all the pennies. Now we know who has all the pennies.
Yeah, but thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be here as always. And we're talking some Geno, and you brought me on. Let's do it.
Yeah, good vibes, baby. Listen, let's dive into this, Jeff, because you look at what the Reds have done this offseason. We continue to plead for somebody that can bring a little bit of power to this lineup, somebody that can, have some kind of a lasting impact for the Reds in 2026, and really somebody that makes some protection for Elly De La Cruz when you put the lineup on paper. And I think Eugenio Suarez fits that bill. Now, I know he's getting a little bit older, and I know some of his, peripheral numbers aren't the greatest in the world. But what I know is that Geno still has a lot of power in his bat. He's going to be able to hit the ball and hit it hard. You look at his season last season, Jeff, and it was a 3.6 WAR season combined when you look at his total stats between Arizona and Seattle. And that's nothing to, shake your stick at per se. The other number, he hit 49 home runs. You can talk to me about his defense. You can I don't care. Put him at DH, put 49, 50 home runs in that lineup behind Elly De La Cruz. And this Cincinnati Reds lineup is an entirely different beast in 2026.
Yeah, I've come around on this one because I'm thinking of this from the perspective of literally just do what you did with Kyle Schwarber. Just put Geno at DH, never ask him, like if he has to play in the field, put him at first base or put him at third base for like a day once a month or something like that. But he DHs most of the time because
he played first base for both Arizona and Seattle last season. He did appear at first base for both teams.
And he said that he would be willing to do that more if that meant facilitating a deal. But there's a couple of reasons that I'm thinking about this. A, the Reds have already done this with Kyle Schwarber. And like you said, all they got to do is just erase the name Kyle Schwarber on the check and write in a Eugenio Suarez. And then boom, there you go. And they said they had to get creative. We'll get into that in just a second. But the other part of this that's really feeding, I was reading something in The Athletic about the big name bats that are still on the market. Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, all of those guys, Bo Bichette, those guys that are still available. they all are reportedly not getting anything near where they value themselves. They think that they're being undersold by other teams. So it's quite possible this is happening to Eugenio Suarez as well, which favors the Reds making a move like this, because the Reds' creativity, and this is bringing this all back in the creativity nature of this. The creativity is not something that is palatable to a free agent. That's why Kyle Schwarber turned it down. But when you start to get later in the offseason, creativity means jobs. And if you got a job, that's what you're looking for.
So there's also a mutual connection here in the sense that he still has family in this area. I think I told you guys during the trade deadline discussion about the possibility of him coming here. I did some digging and I found out a few things, and he was definitely interested in coming back to Cincinnati, and there was discussions. There's not a whole lot more I can display there because I like to have trusted colleagues that will continue to give me sources. But yes, he wanted to come back to Cincinnati. It was definitely on his short list. Seattle just gave him a better chance. No harm, no foul. But also we're talking about a situation where, like I said, this is a place he has close ties. So I think there will be mutual interest again in this case. Steve mentioned he's getting a little older. Yeah, he's, so maybe this is like a 2-year, I know I talked a lot about Andujar getting a 1+1. Maybe this is a 2+1. See if he can do it another year they're here. And then I did want to point this out. I know this is an immensely small sample size because there was only 3 games. Eugenio Suarez had 12 at-bats at Great American Ballpark this year. 3 hits, 2 were homers. That's a 1,000 OPS, people.
It's very small sample size.
It'll make you excited, though.
Sure. Right. You see 1 point, you're feeling good.
And that's the thing too.
And the other piece, and we're not really going to lean into because it doesn't mean a hill of beans to us. But what we do know is that the Castellinis are looking for somebody they think will drive ticket sales, and bringing in Geno will drive ticket sales because fans love Geno. Now, you don't get to play that he's from Middletown thing every day, but you do get to play that the city already loves him.
But would it hurt merch sales because people already have his jersey?
No, because Spencer Steer wears 7, so that way
they will have to get another number. Yeah,
New jersey.
Spencer Steer has to get a
new jersey number. We've solved that.
Someone's trading numbers. I love it.
This thought came. The thought process around talking about a Eugenio Suarez and talking about Matt McLain here in a minute came to me because I am now beginning season number 8 of this podcast. I started 7 years ago, 2018, New Year's Eve, and I've been wrong a lot. And there were a couple of takes this year that I was really wrong about. And I was really wrong about the fact that I was sure that the Reds were going to acquire a Eugenio Suarez at the trade deadline. And I have heard unsubstantiated reports that there was a literal $4 million cash infusion coming from the Reds to the Diamondbacks that stood between them and getting a Eugenio Suarez. That's not been confirmed, so I don't necessarily know if that's the case. But that's something that I heard about that. So when it comes to all of the ideas of bringing him back, he would still fulfill the need that the Reds have. And the fact that they continue to do this thing where they're not going and getting a top outfielder, and the top outfielders are just out of their price range, blah, 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 whatever. Fine. Fix the lineup with somebody like a Eugenio Suarez, have him DH, have him bat cleanup. Elly bats third, Noelvi Marte bats second, TJ Frieda leads off. Let's at least go into 2026 with that, and we can worry about 2027 later.
That's not a bad 1 through 4. I like that 1 through 4,
especially in the Central with the way things are looking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, because the Cubs are sitting on their hands. They might lose because all of the reports are Tatsuya Imai is going to the White Sox, not to the Cubs, and so that's going to make them mad. And then who else are they going to go for?
Has anybody checked in with Imai and been like, "Listen, there's 2 teams in Chicago." Like,
no, I'm trying to figure out what is Jerry Reinsdorf doing over there that's working, because he's certainly not doing it for his basketball team.
Anyway, yeah, more on Locked On White Sox about all of that stuff. But no, that the point being that the Cubs continue to strike out on whatever it is that they think that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so the Reds need to take advantage of that. And the Brewers are the Brewers until the Brewers aren't the Brewers anymore. So I'm not going to talk crap about them, because whenever I do, that's my worst take of the year. So, but I'm just going to focus on the Cubs. But the Reds can overtake the Cubs if they make a smart move. This feels like it would be a smart
It feels like it to me for sure, Jeff. I wish I had faith. Maybe the Castellinis are listening. Phil, listen, Phil. I know we've had some rough interactions. Phil, you want to do this one, Phil? Go get him. Yeah. Phil.
I think it's important to note, even though he kind of struggled when he got traded to Seattle after the deadline, played 53 games. With how bad he struggled, I mean, he had a 255 on base, a 692 OPS. He still ended up with a 94 OPS plus. So the power was still there. And that's a big ballpark, obviously, playing at Safeco. I think he ended up hitting like 8 home runs there. And that's in that rest of his tenure for the season. So obviously, that just makes matters so much for, especially here at GABP. He's I think 3rd all time in home runs at GABP. So
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So, come on, buddy, come chase the GABP record at least.
But I mean, I will say there's definitely something that is staring us back in the face here. The reason that it might not happen. He did have his lowest line drive percentage of his career last year. They might be counting out. I don't know.
Ooh, how many rallies did he kill? 49?
49 rallies. I mean, that's 49. A lot of rallies. That's a lot of rallies.
Don't tell Barry.
There's another rally killer though. This happened this past year, and I said he should have spent some time in AAA. Steve seems to think that was a really, really bad take. We're going to rehash that argument here coming up next. But we want to tell you about FanDuel's NBA Happy Hour on Fridays as you lead into tip-off right before the games start. FanDuel has some awesome lines. Not really discounts, but like they up the odds on certain prop bets and things like that before the games get going. Supercharged prop bets. You can always get in on all of your NBA action over on FanDuel. You can also check out plenty of bowl games as well in the the college football playoffs and all that stuff. The one team that's like favored to win it, Ohio State plus 190. We feeling good about that one, or is it Indiana plus 310? That looks a little bit better, I think, right?
No, it doesn't.
I'm not even an Ohio State fan.
I know that both of you guys hate the fact that I did that for different reasons, but yeah, no, Ohio State is favored to win the college football playoff at plus 190. Then, of course, you got Georgia at 5-1. Watch out for the SEC. That's what I always hear anyway. That's all over at FanDuel. You can get in on all of the action every single day. Download that FanDuel app and make sure you jump in on that NBA Happy Hour every Friday evening. Thanks for making Locked On Reds part of your day. I love picking on you with the Ohio State stuff. I just do. Because it doesn't make sense, because obviously Ohio State still does what they do. They won the national championship last year. Ryan Day gets a lifetime extension. It all continues.
And you did it 2 days in a row. There it was.
College football playoff, what's that?
Yeah, it's just down to the two of us now. So thanks, everybody, for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast and making us part of your everyday routine. Really appreciate you joining us as we talk Reds every single day and try to have some fun with it. One of the things we talked a lot about this past year, and people are still talking about him because I think he's basically being penciled in as the opening day second baseman. There's a really good chance he's being penciled in probably at the bottom of the lineup, but I mean every single day in that lineup, and he is Matt McLain. Is a guy that had a real struggle of a season to the point that we were discussing the idea of sending him down. And it wasn't, as one Steve Offenbaker would say, so that he could gain some new skill. It was so he could see the ball hit the grass and get some hits and just get some confidence back a little bit. Well, that never happened because, quite frankly, the Reds didn't really have the depth to do that, because who are you going to play at second base if you don't have Matt McLain there? Santiago Espinal? Obviously, that didn't stop him from getting over 300 at bats, so that's a bad joke anyway. But when it comes to Matt McLain being sent down to AAA, I've been told that is my worst take of the year.
It was, in fact, your worst take of the year, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's the thing you said in 2025 that I remember the most, which makes it your worst, because if it's stuck with me for this long, because you know how I am, it means it was incredibly bad. And you hit on the big part of why it was incredibly bad. There was nobody else. There was no reason to take the defense that Matt McLain provides at second base and send it to Louisville and bring somebody else up, because they were not going to give you equal to or better than what he was delivering offensively. Now, look, he had a bad year. He had a year that was his sophomore year coming off of missing an entire year of baseball with a shoulder that had to relearn his swing and had to relearn how to play at the major league level, how to get his bat speed back, how to get his recognition back. There were times he hit the ball hard. It just wasn't falling. It was right at people. It was right to gloves. Those things are not within Matt McLain's control. He had to figure it out. As bad as he was, according to our memories, you look at his stat line of 220, 300, 343, there are dudes on this Reds team that were worse. You look at Matt McLain's 2025 and that stat line, his OPS plus was 74. Yeah, he was about 25% less than league average. You know what he wasn't, though? He wasn't a below replacement player. His wins above replacement were at the line. He was 0. He wasn't better than replacement. He wasn't worse than replacement. There was nobody in the Reds minor league system that was going to give you that or better. So to send him down was just a take. And this wasn't just Jeff, folks. There were a lot of you out there. We have the receipts. There were many of you in the comments like, send him down, send him down. And you had no good plan for what after Matt McLain looked like. You had no good plan for who was going to play defense on an infield that already had the league leader in errors playing next to him at shortstop. It made no sense to send Matt McLain down. That was, in fact, the Locked On Reds worst take of 2025, brought to you by Jeff Carr.
I think the biggest reason I never lost faith in Matt McLain last year, he still drew walks. Like, he still did a really good job of not chasing. Yeah, a lot of strikeouts, but he still found a way to still get on first base. And I think I will take that in a situation where this team did not have a lot of guys who were doing that. And, you know, Jeff, you mentioned him hitting later in the lineup. His best spot in the lineup was hitting ninth. I mean, technically it was leadoff, but he had 5 games where he led off. And they were great 5 games, but if I'm making fun of the Suarez small sample size, I can't use it here either. So at his best was when he was hitting ninth, and that's obviously recovering from shoulder surgery. I think you both are right in the sense that, yeah, I think later in the lineup, he's going to be more comfortable, especially as they're trying to figure this all out right now. And also, I think year 3 coming off that, having a full offseason actually work out, not going to the Arizona Fall League and all of a sudden playing center field because, you know, we got to see if he can work. All of that's going to be in his favor this year. So I really feel like he's going to have a nice year. I don't know if I'm thinking like 275 with a 113 OPS plus by any means, but I do think he's going to be a really solid player for this team. And I think as he goes, I mean, this is a guy who was the best player on the team in 2023 when they made that miraculous run, that 12-game win streak, that almost making the playoffs, that David Bell getting an extension. A lot of that was because Matt McLain was really their best player on that team.
And I think too, like, one of the biggest reasons that Elly can be Elly is that you have Matt McLain.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Matt McLain is going like he should, then the rest of this team kind of follows suit. Like, Elly is always going to be that dude, as long as he's got 2 legs, as it turns out. But yeah, he's always going to be that dude. When it comes to Matt McLain, he still provided a lot of value. According to Baseball Savant, he provided positive 3 run value for base running, which was in the 86th percentile. And he provided positive 6 fielding run value, which was in the 83rd percentile. So he was still really good in the other 2 areas of baseball that weren't hitting. So if that hitting can just get back closer to league average, or just to a replacement level, you are still talking about a pretty decent player. That's why you're seeing projection systems that have him over 3 WAR. Where I was in trying to send him down and get him right and see if you can reset his brain, I never gave up on him. But there are people that are giving up on him this offseason. Yep. And I feel like that would be the worst take of 2026, is if you give up on Matt McLain right now, because it still feels like there's a lot more than meets the eye for him.
I think Tim hit on something when he was talking there a minute ago that gives me the most hope about Matt McLain and what we saw in him in 2025 versus his 2023 rookie season. And that was, he was still drawing walks. What that tells you is that his eye was still there. The problem is his body had betrayed him. His swing had betrayed him, and he had to find it again. And we saw him find his swing a little bit at a time all throughout 2025. I'm pretty confident he goes into 2026 with his swing and is able to start the year in a good place, because the hole that he dug for himself in the beginning of his season was pretty insurmountable from some of the counting stats. Like he was never going to really rebuild that WAR into something that we're like, okay, that's tolerable. He was never going to rebuild that OPS plus into a 110, 115, 120 based on where it started at the beginning of the year. So I'm still very bullish on what Matt McLain brings to this team. You want to hit him down in the bottom of the lineup? I love that. Look, when Will Benson was killing it as the best number 9 hitter in baseball, that was something. Right? Like you have a good guy down there at the bottom that's a quasi second leadoff hitter, flip the lineup around kind of guy. Matt McLain, followed by TJ Friedl, followed by Noelvi Marte, followed by Elly De La Cruz, followed by maybe a Eugenio Suarez. We just talked about that. That's not bad. That's a good thing. And I don't think, you know what I would love to know next time we have a player on? I want to know, do they care as much about where they hit in the lineup as we seem to make them, that we say they care as much about where they hit in the lineup? Do they?
That's Jonathan
really?
India.
I really want to know.
That's a good point.
I need a bigger sample size than that, Tim. I don't know what is with you and the small sample sizes today, but can I use
another one real quick? Just another one.
Sure.
You know what Matt McLain's OPS was in the month of June last year? 804.
Yeah, he slugged 437 that month. And he got on base almost 37% of the time. He was starting to figure it out. I would have loved to have heard what happened in the month of July, because then everything came crashing right back down on him.
How much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet that if truths were being told, he tweaked his shoulder in July and didn't tell anybody?
How
much you want to bet?
Yeah.
Based on all of the other injuries that everybody else apparently plays through, it would not surprise me, because that seems to have been the theme.
Tyler Stephenson might still have a broken collarbone. We don't know for sure.
Nobody, diagnoses are loosey-goosey within the Cincinnati Reds. But look, this is the final episode of 2025. Thanks for being with us all year, guys. We got one more segment to go here in 2025, and that is where we're going to have a little bit of fun, because we're going to bring you our most outlandish takes for 2026, the things that we know probably aren't going to happen, but how fun would it be if they do? If you can't watch us here on YouTube, guess what? You can make us a road show. We are on every single audio podcasting platform that's out there. Go click subscribe on your favorite one. You can take us in the car. You can take us to the gym. You can take us on the road. You can take us wherever you want to go. We will be with you. And all throughout 2026, we'll be with you covering the Cincinnati Reds. All right, Jeff. All right, Tim. Here we go. Buckle up. The most outlandish, the wildest, the most fun, the most impossible, the seemingly crazy take for 2026 that you hope will happen because it'll be fun. Jeff Carr, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to say, and again, we are admitting these are outlandish takes, but Christian Encarnacion-Strand will be the 2026 version of Noelvi Marte, because Noelvi Marte was off the radar in 2025. We weren't talking about it. We were saying, yeah, whatever. If he does anything, we'll be happy. And now we're looking at him as possibly being like the best breakout candidate on this lineup. And of course, we'll talk about that at a later date, but there's a lot of people that are talking about that. Christian Encarnacion-Strand is a forgotten man. Sal Stewart is being talked about at first base as well. He should be. And you've got other options of should they go get somebody? Should Spencer Steer play first base? Should Sal Stewart play third? What all of this going on? Nobody is talking about Christian Encarnacion-Strand for good reason. He hadn't played in months at the major league level. He got sent down and was never brought back up at that point. They had decided that they'd seen all they needed to see, and they gave up on him in the middle of the year. So I think that he is the guy that's going to come back out of nowhere, because the scouting report is still, I can't get over the scouting report of plus power, plus hitting tool, all that good stuff. And the fact, and it's too small of a sample size for him to qualify with other players, but the fact that while he did play last year, he was in the top quarter of the major leagues in bat speed, 73.6 miles per hour, well above league average. Dude can still swing it. He's just got to figure out the whole making contact thing, but that's my outlandish take, that he's going to be 2026 Noelvi Marte.
He showed so much promise when they called him up in 2023. In 63 games, he had a 112 OPS plus. He managed to put up 0.5 in WAR, 13 home runs in those 63 games. We kind of saw a flicker of what he could be. And then it just all went away. 2024, -1 in WAR. He only managed to play in 29 games before injuries sidelined him. And then again in 2025, 36 games before he was just so bad, the Reds were forced to send him down, never to be heard from again. I hope this is right, because this team could use that kind of luck. And this is not even a we hope, folks. We can't even label it that. This is simple luck. If this happens, nobody can really truly predict that CES is going to be a thing, other than to say the talent's in there, the potential is in there. Can he dig it out? Can he live up to it? Can he be the guy? Time will tell.
I like it.
All right. I guess I will go next. I will lean into still a little bit. This is going to blow Jeff Carr's mind a little bit, because I just don't see how this can happen, but I need it to be a thing, because he's going to play so much. And that is that Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to give you an OPS plus of 115 to 120. That he's going to give you a 3+ WAR season, and he is going to become the guy that he was in the year of our Lord 2023 at third base for the Cincinnati Reds. He is going to give you about 15 home runs. He is going to give you a slash line of about 250, 310, 400-ish in the slugging. He is going to be what the Cincinnati Reds really, truly need him to be at the hot corner.
If his OPS plus is 115 to 120, he's going to have way more than 3 WAR.
Yeah.
He might have 6 or 7 WAR. Like, we might be talking about, like, if Ke'Bryan Hayes ever learned how to hit that good, he might be the best player on this team, because his glove is so good that even where his bat is right now, he's almost a 3 WAR player. So I think that you might be underselling the WAR bit, but everything else is definitely like 115, 120. Ke'Bryan Hayes with a 115, 120, Tim Daniel. I think he would need the Infinity Gauntlet to do that. I think he would have to snap his fingers for that.
Yeah.
And mind you, he would be doing that from like the 7th, 8th spot in this lineup. So this lineup would be something.
If that's happening, he's hitting above the 7th or 8th spot.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing. That's the thing about hitting position. If our 1 through 4 is anywhere near what we would like it to be, what we talked about earlier in the show, you keep that 1 through 4. Just because he's hitting well doesn't necessarily mean you have to move him up and disrupt things. This is why I get crazy when you move guys that are performing well in 6, 7, 8, 9, and like, oh, well, we need to try him at number 2. No, leave him alone. If the Reds had a major league equivalent 1 through 4, 1 through 5, that guy as your 6th, 7th hitter is amazing.
If Matt McLain was Matt McLain, he never would have moved out of the number 2 spot, because Terry Francona gave him every opportunity to keep that spot in the lineup. So I think that if everything goes right, and if the 1 through 4 is as we say it is, then 5 through 9 will be, you move them however you want to move them. You could say, he'll bat 5th. And I'll say, yeah, sure. He'll bat 9th. Okay, yeah, sure. Like 1 through 4 will be the rock. Everything else will be the kind of, mix it in type thing.
What if 7, 8, 9 was Stephenson, the Ke'Bryan Hayes that I just described, and the Matt McLain we want him to be?
Then
if that was your 7, 8, 9, flipping that lineup back around again, we could score more than 1 run a game. We could score more than 1 run a game.
Maybe 2.
Maybe
Tim, I'll throw it to your take in just 1 second, but I will say this: if your take comes true, I don't necessarily know if this happens if my take comes true, but if your take comes true, Steve, if he has a 115, 120 OPS plus, then the Reds will win the division. If Ke'Bryan Hayes is hitting that well, the Reds will win the division.
Yeah. Also, once again, just we're keeping track at home, Steve is still trying to get the kids hip to Locked On Reds. Another 6-7 reference there in the middle. So
keeps trying that.
All right, fellas. Well, I don't know if mine's as spicy as your guys' were, especially that last one, but I was going to go say Tyler Stephenson leads all National League catchers in WAR in 2026. And here is why. Sweet spot was in the 98th percentile. Hard hit percentage in the 84th percentile. Barrel, 90th percentile. He's figured out blocking. We know that the defense goes a little like this, right? It's a little up and down, but if he's got everything recovered, if he's fully in healthy, I know if in hope is like the issue here, but Tyler Stephenson last year in a very small sample size amount of games had a 764 OPS, had 13 home runs, and still only hit 231. We all know he's capable of being better than that when he has a full season. We saw that in 24. So I feel like we're going to see a little bit more 2024 Tyler Stephenson and then some.
I would love that because it's his last season to do it. Like his team control is out after this. Like he's got to do it now if he wants that big deal, because it seems as though that's been his sticking point all along, is that the Reds have offered him something that he said it ain't nowhere near where he thinks it should be.
You know, when you were talking, Jeff, I was doing this. You hit it right on the nose, buddy. It's a contract year, baby. And if a guy's going to go off, it's going to be in a contract year. You know, I would be shocked if Tyler Stephenson hasn't been working every single day of this offseason to be ready and raring to go when this baseball season starts in 2026. You look at his numbers and in limited sample size. You know, he played in 88 games last season, and again, a guy coming in kind of cold, having to build up to it. Still 231, 316, 421, 13 home runs, 1.3 in WAR. And he's going to continue to build. His 2024 season with a 2.4 in WAR, with a slash line of 258, 338, 444. We know that Tyler has more to give. And I love this one. You know what? This is probably the most possible one out of the takes we have delivered today. I don't feel like this is as big of this is not as big of a swing. Certainly not as big of a swing as I took. Not as big as a swing, I think, as you took, Jeff. This one could be a reality. But I know that, like you kind of mentioned, you thought it wasn't that big of a swing. I don't think it's a short swing, though. I mean, because we're talking about Tyler Stephenson. Well, it's not. Yeah, there's some risk. Would have to really jump up. I mean, the leader at catcher for the National League in WAR last year was Will Smith at 3.9, or at least according to Fangraphs, it was 3.9. Hunter Goodman was at 3.6. William Contreras was at 3.5. And at least according to Fangraphs, him and JT Realmuto led the position as far as how many times actually played that position in the National League. So you are talking about a big difference there. And Contreras, he's a little bit younger, isn't he? I think he's under 30. Yeah. So you're not talking about like going up against, he's going to be 29 next year. So, or no, he is 28. Just turned 28 a week ago. Happy belated birthday to the Brewers catcher. So he's a year younger than younger than Tyler Stephenson. Tyler Stephenson will be in his age 29 season. Yeah, so I think it's a hot take for sure. I wouldn't say it's outlandish, but I think it's a hot take for sure. You know what Tim's basically saying is that 40 home runs are inbound for Tyler Stephenson in 2026. Okay, that's your worst take ever. That you still continue to. I lean into it. I own it, buddy. Unlike you, who hides from your Matt McLain hate, I lean into my bad takes, sir. Whatever. That's going to end us for this year. Happy New Year, everybody. Appreciate y'all joining the podcast all throughout the year. The podcast, the postcast, of course, will return once games get going next year. And we're going to be back with you every single day talking about these Reds, hopefully on their way to signing Eugenio Suarez, maybe before Reds Fest, maybe not. Who knows? I don't think that Reds Fest is really pressuring the Reds into any sort of deals, but that would be a lot of fun to see Geno back at Reds Fest. Until then, you always know that you can get us. We'll be talking every single day here. On the next podcast, we'll really be diving in to what the Reds should be looking at this year and why it ain't just 83 wins and a wild card berth. Although, hey, I got the t-shirt on. Lovely t-shirt. October baseball, baby. That's what we saw last year. We need to see more of it this year. So make sure you check out the next Locked On Reds podcast. Now, make sure you check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered with takes around the league. Sure, he's got a fun interview with our Dodgers guys in a year in review, and that's all just like Locked On Reds on every single podcasting platform and free and available every single day. But until tomorrow or the next episode, whenever that might be, next year. Next year. It's going to be like a whole year from now. You always know that Steve, Tim, and myself will be Locked On Reds every single day. I had a great idea for the postcast. Let's have Tim do from a different live location every game. Top of the Roebling, barge in the river.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be something? Let's do that. Oh
my gosh. Just like be with like a handheld, just like, sir, what did you think of the game today?
Well, so you could be like Les Nessman if you know that reference.
Does
I
OSHA
swear to
have
God,
anything to do with podcasts?
turkeys. I swear to God, I thought turkeys could fly.
I feel like OSHA is going to get into podcasting real soon.
Yeah, it's inevitable.